This episode is sponsored by Cyberlytica, combating fraud, account takeover, and information warfare. Get a free dark web password scan now from Cyberlytica. Use promo code HACKEDAGAIN. My guest today is Perry Carpenter, author of Transformational Security Awareness. Perry currently serves as Chief Evangelist and Strategy Officer for KnowBe4. Previously, he led security awareness, security culture management, and anti-phishing behavior management research at Gartner Research. Perry is author of Transformational Security Awareness, What Neuroscientists, Storytellers, and Marketers Can Teach Us About Driving Secure Behaviors. Perry, what keeps you up at night?
Oh man, that's a dicey question. For me, since I spend such a great amount of my time thinking about things like why we fall for the things that we do, why we fall for certain scams, why we get taken in, why we make decisions that seem counterintuitive and against all logic. The thing that keeps me up right now is this thing that we call cognitive bias. And I think all you have to do is look at the past several years to see that cognitive bias doesn't just mess us up from a security standpoint. It's not just the thing that social media and social engineers take advantage of. It is a thing that is difficult for society to grasp.
Yeah. Wow, that's good insight there. Hey, Perry, when we were talking before, you mentioned you have a YouTube channel that's up and coming, that you're kind of ramping up, as well as a podcast show of your own. So maybe tell our guests a little bit more about that, some of the things that you're involved in.
Sure. And it all does come down to this cognition piece of security and really how the things that we're trying to deal with from a cybersecurity perspective are really human problems. And we're trying to figure out how to manage those effectively. And so my book was part of that. That was about how to drive secure behaviors within an organization. And it really went down to things like, how do you do communication effectively? How do you design behaviors so that regardless of the things that somebody would naturally do, you're able to shape that using behavior design principles so that the person will feel like they're naturally doing the thing that you want them to do. And then ultimately the culture of an organization. So that's really where the book was. The YouTube channel and the podcast are focusing on two different things. One is equipping cybersecurity leaders to think in a more behaviorist type of mindset. So to think about human beings as not just computers that we can give policy to and they naturally do the right thing, but that human beings are extremely nuanced, and there's a little bit of cognitive psychology that we have to take into account. So we're taking this very extreme social sciences view in the way that I do the YouTube channel. And so that's a combination of advice to security practitioners and then also a number of interviews like the ones that you're doing as well. And then the podcast is going to be a little bit more produced. The goal that I have in my mind is like Freakonomics or Planet Money, something that's a more narrative, journalist style nonfiction that has lots of different experts in each episode as we tackle things like how do we deal with cognitive bias? What does behavior science promise for us as security professionals? Well, how do we deal with and help vulnerable populations and so on? So it's big topics, lots of different experts on each episode weighing in and then ultimately telling the story. And then I'll also be releasing a lot of those unedited interviews as well, because from each interview that maybe lasts 30 minutes, there might only be 2 or 3 minutes of quotes that make it into the broader story. And there's a lot of expertise that I think anybody that's listening should be able to benefit from these people.
Oh, that's great. Hey, and tell us about where somebody could pick up a copy of your book, Transformational Security Awareness. Where's the best place to get that, Terry?
Amazon's certainly the easiest because it's ubiquitous. But certainly if you just plug that title into Google, you'll be able to find it anywhere great books are sold. And I would be happy for you to take a look at it. If you do want a signed copy, feel free to reach out to me and we can work something out as well.
Oh, that's great. And I highly recommend this. I've been reading it, dove into it, and it's an enjoyable read. So take a look at that on Amazon. And if anybody does want to reach out to you directly or directly to KnowBe4, what's kind of the best way to get in contact with you, Perry, if they have questions or want to learn more about some of the great stuff you're involved in?
Sure. So I'm kind of doing things through KnowBe4, and then I'm also doing some things outside. So KnowBe4, it's you can just reach out to me via email. You can hit perry@knowbe4.com, or you can definitely search the KnowBe4 website and see the things that I'm doing there. If you're interested in some of these side projects that I have going on in YouTube and podcasts and all of that, that is through what I'm calling eighth layer insights. So the OSI security model having 7 layers and not having the human involved. Of course, this 8th layer is the human, and that's the thing that I'm focusing all my time and attention on.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, thanks again so much, Perry, for joining us. Appreciate your insight in the world of cybersecurity.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I appreciate you.